All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Wednesday's live stream. Lots happening out there today. Not necessarily a great day, depending how you are invested. If you are a big investor in digital currencies, but we can get into that maybe a little bit in the later if people have questions. But welcome. Lots of let's see who's here. Let's start off with that. First things first. I have my coffee. Hopefully you do too. It's getting finally used to the time change, which is good. It's nice to actually kind of wake up now, and it's nice that it does. You start to notice it actually gets lighter earlier, which is good. But it always hits you for a few days. So it takes a few days to get used to that cycle. So say hello. If we got hopefully the regulars here. You'll see. I kind of noticed a new thing when I started to do the stream. Is there's now the ability to put a poll in the chat. So you'll see that chat. Basically, the question for today: did you buy anything today? Not necessarily the market. The market's it's like this. It's the same. Up and down, up and down. It's like in flux. It's been like this for ages. So question is for everybody. As you jump in there, if you bought anything, let me know in the comments as well. It's always good to hear what people are doing. The title of the live stream obviously is VDY Dividends, and so if you are invested in VDY, that's the Canadian High Dividend Yield ETF, the Vanguard ETF. That dividend showed up today, so that was nice too. It's always nice to wake up and check your email and you have a little notice from Wealthsimple that you've received a dividend in your account. So I had that came through, and I did as usual. What I'm doing now, right, is doing as the dividends come through, rolling them into reinvest. So fractional share. I did do a fractional share purchase this morning. The dividend was $8.07 if I remember correctly. So that got rolled in, did the purchase, and then closed the app off. Not going to pay attention too much on it today. I think that's the kind of the big thing. Can't overthink things. I think a lot of people, investors, especially small time investors like myself, you can really start to overthink things, and it's almost sometimes like you get in your own way so you have to really go back, take a step back, think about your long-term plan that you had for the portfolio, and if you still have the same convictions for the long term, is ignore the shorter term volatility that's happening right now and take it maybe as a bit of opportunity if you can. I know it's always wishes you had more money, but so that's not always the case to buy, and you should never put all your money into any kind of speculative stock investment, anything like that. I mean, but if you're slowly building, I think that's a good thing. And I think now's the time to stick to your plan. I think going forward, and I said it I think I've said it in a few live streams, is basically stick to the plan. I'm really focusing on the core holdings, as we like to, I think MC coined that one. I don't know if they're watching, but the core holdings, and the mine is VDY and VFE right now. So just focusing on that and moving forward slowly but surely. That's my plan. I guess I should actually sip my coffee. And just going forward with that. But it's I know it's hard sometimes when you see we've had a decent week or so, and then of course that always gets we always get beaten. It seems like it's like one step forward, two steps back sometimes. But anyways, people turning up. Good morning. There's a few people watching. I know. Make sure. Obviously, I like to say hit as you come in, hit the like button, and fill out that poll. It's always kind of interesting what people are doing. And good morning, Abigail. Abigail has her coffee. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. It's always fun to have a bit of conversation with people kind of before. Well, it's before my day starts, but depending where you are, I'm not sure, Abigail, where you live, I think you're in Canada. I think you said that, but I'm not sure if you're on the West Coast or East Coast or where you are, but welcome. And Terrain's back. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Hopefully good. I have a couple of articles to pull up. One main one, but if anybody has anything in particular they want to talk about, let me know. Always open in the comments. It's always fun to see how how this conversation always goes. Oh, and Abigail, you're on the West Coast. Same as me. Okay, so we're the same time zone. Good morning. Good morning. I think I know the majority of YouTube tells me in statistics, kind of in my channel, most of the viewers are from Canada. So I'm always going to assume if someone's jumping on the chat, that they're from Canada. I'm just not always not sure where. It doesn't tell me where in Canada people are coming from, just countries. So the majority uh, of the viewers are definitely from Canada. Few from the States, and also there's a few from other places, but I think those are mostly the spammers that access the channel. I think when it's coming from like Russia, India, and different other countries that aren't really probably interested in Canadian TFSA investing, I think are probably spam accounts visiting my channel, but that's okay. And it's funny, an interesting thing on YouTube statistics, it tells you how many people watch your videos that are subscribed and not subscribed. And I thought it's always very funny that the ratio between people that are subscribed and unsubscribed that watch the channel is a 60-40 split. So that's like kind of like that old, like the stock, 60% equities, 40% bonds. So 60% of the people that watch my channel are subscribed to the channel, which is awesome. And 40% aren't subscribed. I just thought it was funny how it worked out to be 60-40. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but anyways. And Terrain's from Ontario, the center of the universe. Like I always like to tell my buddy Rob. It's always it's a big country. I don't know if we've had anybody from way back east yet. Hard to know where everybody is. EQB, yeah. I haven't looked into that one. I know Equitable Bank, because you see all their ads right now. You see all their ads right now for, they have really, really good GIC rates. Now EQB, I mean, and GSEs are safe, right? They're as long as they're, the CDIC insured, provided it's under, what is it? Is it still $100,000? I think so. I wish I had that much money to worry about in a GIC, or in an investment in a particular bank. But yeah, I haven't looked too much into it. Let me just quickly pull it up, okay? EQB Bank. They do basically, I mean, they are a bank, so they take deposits more virtually. I don't think they have branches, if I'm not mistaken, but they also do mortgage lending in Canada. And but I haven't really looked into them that much. I'm just looking at them right now on finance, and it looks like they had record Q3 earnings. So that's good. They're up 10% today, so that's I guess a good sign. I haven't really looked into them that much. There's EQB, and there's also a similar one would be HEB, right? Home equity bank. Home Capital Group, HCG. They're up today too. So yeah, something to maybe look at. But I haven't looked into I haven't really looked into them about that. And Nadia, yeah, I know Nadia. Hi, welcome back. I know where you live. And so yeah, they're mainly online, like virtual bank. I don't know what other products they have. They probably have a Visa. They probably have it's much like whatchamacallit, like Simply like I don't know if they're on their own, like Simply Financial, CIBC, if I'm not mistaken, and like Tangerine is Scotiabank, but I think like home equity bank and EQB, Equitable Bank, are like their own entity in terms of that. But it's mainly online. I don't use them. I really haven't looked into them too much. So I wish I could be more help. And MT, there we go. She jumps in. Yeah, mainly I know they do. I don't know how much personal bank, like I just don't know, but I do know they do like more alternative. Like we were actually talking about that yesterday, MC, in the live stream. It's they do like kind of that alternative lending space in Canada. So they probably have some other products like that for lending too, I would guess, internally. I don't know. But mainly mortgages, yeah, personal banking. They're big on the GIC. Like I see every time I pull up, you see it on ads on like Instagram and different places. Is the EQB GICs right now are paying pretty good. I think they're if not the top, they're basically pretty close to what the top of the mark to pay. So, they do fractional shares. There you go. So it's always one to maybe look at. I'm not looking at really adding anything new to my portfolio, but if someone is, maybe they could check that one out. That's a good. It's always nice to have these suggestions come through. And mortgages, yeah, online banking through EQ Bank. Okay, that's how they. Yeah. So it's like it's a high tongue twister, high interest savings account. That's pretty good, actually. 2.5. I think that's probably pretty top of the mark too. I know some places have bonus interest, that kind of stuff. If you put, the banks never give you what they take, right? Like they with the rates going up, the savings account rates haven't necessarily followed, right? Which is it's always the case. But I know they have decent savings rates. And some of the other online places have like you can kind of look and have bonus rates and stuff like that. And like I bank mainly with CIBC, and they have a savings account where I think I'd have to double check what it pays, but they have a bonus thing where is if you increase your balance over the prior month, you get a bonus interest. So to encourage you to save and keep it with them. Because I know what a lot of people do with savings accounts, which I guess is, you can kind of, the hassle might not benefit, the hassles might not be worth the actual amount of interest you're making extra, although it's getting up there. Like, so if someone's paying 2.5 as opposed to 0.5% or 1%, I mean, that's definitely an increase. But in the big picture, sometimes moving your money all to these places doesn't necessarily, the benefit doesn't outweigh the hassle. I don't find. I'm not one. I know some people really do chase that around. Like they'll go, they'll really research who has the best, the best deal or the best promo rate. They'll transfer their money to take advantage of the promo. And as soon as that's over, they'll move it somewhere else to get another promo. I'm not really into that because I just find it, if you have to manage your money in so many places, it just becomes a bit more, I find it just obviously more difficult, right? And the issue with sometimes the online like banking, so like they do have no monthly fees. Yeah, that's good. But a lot of places do have no monthly fee. It depends. It really depends. I know Tangerine has a no fee checking account. I know they have a no fee savings accounts. My bank, CIBC, the savings account is free, but if you do you only get a certain limited number of transactions if you're using it. But like for me, if I remember correctly, I can transfer between like checking and savings, and as many times, like there's no fee for that. But as soon as you're doing something external or something with your savings account over a certain amount, that's when they'll charge you. So you have to be aware of that when you're definitely in with savings accounts. That free is never totally free. Always, I find sometimes. So MC uses EQ, I think you're reading, yeah, for savings account. Yeah, physical. Oh, so they don't give a physical card for withdrawals deposit. Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at with sometimes with these online financial institutions and banks. Is it's sometimes when you need your money, you kind of need it now. And if you, for example, if you have your savings account and checking account at the same bank that they do your day-to-day banking with, and you need to access funds, you can pretty much get it instantly because you have your debit card or your Interact card or whatever, so you can transfer it between the accounts. But as soon as you start dealing with we're not picking on EQ Bank, but this is as an example. As soon as you need to possibly get money out there, if they don't give you a physical card, you can't just run to a bank machine to get cash. Or it's sometimes if you're transferring back to another account, you maybe have a bill that came up emergency or something like that. Sometimes it can take a day or two to arrive, just depending on things. That's what I find. Like I do have some savings in Wealthsimple Save, and it usually comes the next business day if I transfer it around. But if you really need it in a pinch, like say you actually needed like cash, and you're like, you might be kind of hooped for a little bit. And I know it can be kind of a pain sometimes too to get other kind of things from those online banks. Like I've had friends that have tried to get like, in order to get like a bank draft or something, say you needed, like I knew someone that had to get a bank draft, and all their savings was in Simply. And in order to do it, they actually had to mail them a bank draft. So it's like, that doesn't always work. It's a pain in the butt even just to go to the bank to get a bank draft, because it takes, you have to go to the branch, but it's, so there's limitations. So you're paying, they're paying you extra interest for some of those hurdles that you might come across, right? Whereas you might make less money somewhere else, but you're getting maybe a bit more convenience in certain circumstances. Yeah. And that's the thing. Physical cash, like, so MC doesn't recall the physical cash, so not really an issue. Yeah. Oh, so Simply can access CIBC ATMs, so if you need cash, there you go. So I mean, there's workarounds, right? There's always ways to do it. I would just be, the one thing is, like, if you need if you need to for some reason, like, take a lot of it out, or I mean, I don't know how much, if you need a large amount, is always kind of harder to get to move sometimes. I can't actually remember the last time I used. I mean, let me know, let me know, people that are watching, when's the last time you actually used like actual paper cash, or toonies and loonies to buy anything? Let me know in the comments. That'd be interesting, because I haven't used myself. I'm with MC here. I can't remember the last time I went to like the bank machine to take out cash. It's been, and to pay for something in cash, couldn't tell you. It had to be, I think maybe like once or twice over the last 3 years. Like, I think the last time, I think a lot of that changed kind of in 2020 for a lot of people too. Obviously, a lot of things everything closed. So you're doing like more online shopping, or you're doing more curbside shopping, or whatever. So you're not necessarily using cash. I probably went camping. I think I went camping or something, and I needed to take cash out to buy firewood. I think that was probably the last time. That was like last year. So, yeah. But I don't have cash in my wallet. Like I mean, that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, I remember when the Interact, all that stuff went down, right? I mean, I don't do a lot of day-to-day purchase stuff really, other than if I go and have to get gas or something like that. But I don't go out to, like, pick up coffee in the morning. I don't do a lot of like small transactions that way. When I normally do, I have I use my phone to tap, right? And I have I'd load up the Shakepay card to pay for little things like that. That's kind of my discretionary stuff. But cash, I don't know. It's been so long. It's weird to see cash. I have a $5 bill sitting in a dish on my counter in the kitchen, and the $5 bill has been there for I don't know. I don't even remember. It's just kind of there. And that's, I think, the only cash I have. But maybe not a bad idea to keep some sometimes, just in case. Maybe a couple $100, like $100, a couple $100 hidden away at home, just in case, like, if the networks go. I mean, I don't want to sound conspiracy theory and everything like that, but if for some reason everything goes down for the day, like it did with that Rogers thing, it's like, it might be kind of nice to have $50, $60 in your pocket, just in case you need to go pick up $20 in gas to get you through the day or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate enough, I work from home, so I don't have to worry about like having no gas in the car, not being able to fill up or something like that. So, yeah. And MC, so, oh, you do TD for in person, yeah, but not every day, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what, it's funny. It's so funny you say that with TD account. That's like I have a TD savings account that I've had for like, I don't use it. It's just kind of sitting there dormant. It's very, very, yeah. It's like I kind of use it enough just to every once in a while, because I have it on the side, but I kind of forget about it. There's not much in there. I think there's only like maybe $100 in the account. It's been like that forever. I should probably just close it off, but I haven't. anyways, I used to have, like, the only reason I have TD is I used to have a TD mortgage. So with that, I ended up opening up, because when you get a mortgage, you can get a like an unsecured line of credit. And I just had that set up, the account set up, because I don't use the line of credit, but I have it because you never know. And it's like, you need an account. You need an account to pay the line of credit from TD. Like, it's such a silly system. So I had to open up an account. So the only one to open up that was free at the time was a savings account. So that's why I have that. And it's been probably 15 years I've had it, or longer. But yeah, but you kind of need, in-person banking. I'm my day-to-day stuff at CIBC, which I've been at forever. It's fine. It's like, whatever. They're all kind of the same. I don't, but it is, it's, you need it. I mean, you need an in-person bank for sometimes, because you need to get something, right? It's so antiquated. You need to actually go get a draft. You need to, whatever, to go in there. The funny thing about I'm going to assume all banks are all the same, but I have a CIBC account, and they always change the plans, right? And I had this old account from like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, where everything was, if you kept a certain balance, which is actually really small, if you kept a certain balance, you'd get free, like literally free everything, free transactions, free debit. The only time you would pay would be if you used a different bank's ATM. They would charge you that network fee, which is the same for everybody. But I had this free banking for like forever. And then they finally wised up, and they're like, oh, we're no longer, or they don't cancel what it is, but they kept bumping the balance that you had to keep in your checking account to make it worthwhile. And it just got too high. It's like, I don't keep like that much money in my checking account. Like, so I had to switch my account. You can't switch your account of I mean, maybe other banks are different, but you can't actually switch your account online. You have to either go to the branch or call. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. You can't just change your account. So I changed it to like a lower cost one that includes transactions. Because I find now I'm sending more, and I never did a lot before, but now more and more people, I think, are maybe sending e-transfers, Interac e-transfers around. And that's where I was starting to get dinged, because it wasn't included in my account. So I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So I changed it. So I'm paying less than half of what I used to pay every month for that. Banks. Good morning, Jason. Welcome. On that coffee emoji, I will definitely have a sip of coffee. Banks are like just kind of an unnecessary evil around. We all kind of need, and then we get mad at them for whatever reason and move to another one, and then that. But it's funny. I can't remember the last time I had to get a bank draft, probably 2 or 3 months ago, and that was the first time I think I was in a branch for 2 years, 3 years. Couldn't tell you before. I went to the old, where I used to live, because my mom still lives in the area. I was visiting my mom, and I had to go to I went to the branch there, and the whole branch was like, it used to be like tellers everywhere, and there's no tellers anymore. They just, there's a kiosk in the front, and you kind of say, oh, what can I help you with something? And if you need money, they just send you to the bank machine. It's like, it's nobody there anymore. It was kind of funny. Just nobody, I think a lot of people do it all virtually now, which is crazy from thinking back. I mean, when I first, like we've talked about before, when I used to go to the Bank of Montreal, like I used to Bank of Montreal as a kid, and they had like the passbook with they'd open it up and take the paper out and put it through the printer, and it would update your balance when you put money in the bank. And when you used to put money in the bank, you had to go. Now, if you're taking cash or whatever to the bank, you just take it, and they count it in front of, because very few people use cash anymore. But so they count it in front of you, and then they go, okay, this is how much, and they plug it in the computer. You used to have to before. You used to have, I mean, again, I always seem to date myself in these live streams, but you used to have a little slip in the counter, so you'd go to the line, and there'd be a long counter with those, with the pens on a chain that never worked, and you'd fill out like deposit, fill it out. You'd write it like almost like a check, and then on the side was like a little tab, and you'd have to write down like one $10 bill, two $20 bills, and you do it. You do all the money that you had, and you put that on a little slip, and then you take it to the teller. Then they recount it, and they check off each of the stuff, and then they'd stamp it, rip it, part of it off. You'd get the little receipt. They'd update your book, and they take the money. It's the craziest thing. And then when you had to go take money out, you used to have to fill out like a withdrawal slip. They were blue. How I remember this is those blue withdrawal strips, and they look like a check. You'd fill out all the amount, you'd fill out your account number, and then you take the withdrawal slip to the bank, and then they take it, they look at it, they type it all in, and then they look at your bank statement and type it all in. They had computers, and then they put it through the printer, and then they give you your cash. It was pretty crazy. Yeah. Mostly citizens go to probably, but you know what? It's a lot of old, like my mom is now almost 81. She's 80. She does all her banking on her iPad, and she's done it for ages, which is great because she used to always go to the bank and pay the bills, right? Write a check, pay the bills, everything like that. And now she's done it on her iPad. The branch she used to go to, I know, closed because they kind of amalgamated, right, to a one main branch because she's in a smaller city. But yeah, she does everything on her iPad, which is good. She even knows how now to. I showed her how to deposit her check, like she gets. Like when she gets a GST check or something like that to put into the account, she even knows how to take the picture of the check and deposit it in the account. So she's pretty good for 80. So she's figured it out. I think mostly a lot of it out of necessity, like you said, like transitioning, like the pandemic when stuff was closed or not open as much. Obviously helped her to do that. So she's more techie maybe than some, but I could see like if you didn't have internet or something like that, like, yeah, you'd have to still go to the bank. But I think everything, like, I think for her, I think all her, I don't know why she still gets a GST check, but like, I know she obviously is entitled to it, but I don't know why it doesn't go to her for some reason. I don't know why she doesn't have it set up as auto deposit. I haven't, I just, there's no point in figuring that out. I just let her deposit her check when she gets it. I think she still likes getting a check, but I think her OAS and CPP stuff go in automatically. So I don't know why the GST would be different, but I guess it, for whatever reason, comes in separately. But yeah, but I remember MC like having to go you'd have to go to the bank on a Friday to get your money if you wanted money on the weekend, to take out money if you're, because they were closed on Saturday, Sunday. So you'd like literally have no money, unless you had I guess unless you had a credit card, you could start to use them more, or you'd go everywhere. Every like all the grocery stores, everywhere would just take checks, which is crazy to think of now. But you used to have a checkbook, and you'd write a check, and you'd give your ID, and then be like, okay, good, we take your word for it. Like, it's kind of funny, like with stores and everything else, like they would just take a check all the time without even really questioning it, I guess. It was kind of funny. I don't think anywhere really takes, I don't know, does anywhere even take a check anymore? Personal check. I still have some kicking around because when you open a checking account, they give you checks, or at the time they did. I think now they just give I think you have to pay extra for checks, but you used to get them when you open the account. They give you the first batch of checks, right? I still have my first batch. I've never used it. The only time I use my check is when someone needs a copy of a void check. But even that, you just save a photocopy of it on your computer and then send it over, and then now you can just print it online. It's funny how things change in all the technology. Yeah. The other new, we always get sidetracked, and I never actually get to the news. MC, there we go. So Simply offers free checks still. Yeah, I'm the same way. You have to like remember how to write it. And my problem if I ever write a check is because now like you're always on the keyboard typing. I don't use it. I have to, number one, first find a pen, but number two, my handwriting is like my writing and printing is so terrible now because you never really do it anymore. At least I don't. So you write a check out and you're like, this doesn't, hopefully they can read this. And then you have to figure out what because you have to write out the whole like $555.73, and it's my writing is horrendous on a check. And then you make a mistake and you rip up the check and do it again. It's funny for that. Well, in the old checkbooks, does anybody else still write checks? I don't know. That's too funny. I had one news article to pull up too. We get sidetracked as we get sidetracked. It's great. I love it though. I will share this in the screen because it seems like it's what's happening. Let's pull it up. We'll share this. This was always what jumps out at me. Facebook. So layoffs, right? It seems like the tech sector is definitely getting hit with layoffs. Facebook Meta is cutting 11,000 jobs, 13% of its workforce. Now, I think a lot of these, from what I read in the article, a lot of these, which I found was interesting, is a lot of them were the ones that were like a lot were hired. I think they hired about 10,000 people when they kind of pivoted towards the whole metaverse idea. They basically spent over 10 billion a year on the metaverse, and I guess it's not working out as much as they were banking on. I'm guessing. So 11,000 jobs. Then of course hiring freeze. So that's 13% of their workforce. So it seems like the tech right now. Well, Twitter laid off half, but then brought a whole bunch back. Facebook now. So interesting times ahead, definitely. But again, they cut the workforce, but the price is up today on the stock. So obviously I guess the investors like that. But we'll see how the metaverse thing kind of plays out. I think people during back, we're talking about the 2020, we're still in the 2020s, but basically 2020, 2021 there was such that huge shift to remote working. And I guess we're starting to see the shift slowly. It didn't maybe take hold as much as companies were maybe betting on, which I think was probably, I mean, hindsight's always 2020, right? But it's probably kind of a silly bet for the long term. I mean, I think a lot of people still work from home, but maybe less and less, or doing kind of like hybrid idea where they're starting to go back to the office, not a few days a week. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what everybody. I know there's a few people have commented before, but let me know. I mean, do you still work from home? Did you always work from home? Do you still work in the office? I think I'm a little bit in my own little world of that, because I've worked from home for a number of years now. So it wasn't a change for me. And if anything for me in 2020, it made it easier to work from home, because it was always, everybody just kind of assumed that everybody else worked from home. So it wasn't always, whereas before it would be like, oh, you work from home, but then it kind of just, I was always doing the same thing. So it was never really a change in terms of that. But so Nadia says, yeah, I would never go back to an office. I love working from home. I'm the same. I mean, I have Nadia, I have pretty much set, for people watching, like I have pretty set out, like I work full time, but it's like not, typically 9 to 5. I have my day, and then I'm done. So I kind of like sequester myself in a room, close the door, have have my coffee, and I work basically my 8 hours, have lunch and then call it a day. It's nice not to have to, obviously commute is the big thing, especially with gas prices. Even when I did go to the office all the time, you look at what you spend in a year for gas and you're like, holy cow. So it's nice not to have to do that still. But yeah, I don't think I could, so she's never go back. I don't think I could, I don't think I would, I would last in a typical office space anymore, because it is nice to have that flexibility a little bit at home. I'm fortunate enough, and I think Nadia, you too, is fortunate enough to be able to, if you need to go to an appointment or take off for some reason, you can kind of do that, and then catch up at another time after hours, which is nice. And I do find I get a lot of, like, I usually, I kind of, my phone I turn on about 9 and like actually get going. But I do find, like, for myself, working from home, it's nice to get up early if you have a lot to do. Know you're coming into the next morning from the night before, and you start early, and you can just, no one bothers you if you're up really early, and you can get a lot done first thing in the morning. And then by the time your day kind of actually starts, you're caught up, you're just kind of sailing through the day. So I like it. I couldn't go back to an office. And I have a good boss, so excuse me, we get along really well. So it works out in everybody's favor to be remote. I don't think I've actually seen my partner in person for, I don't know, 3 years. We do the virtual Zoom thing, or we talk on the phone every day, but I haven't seen them in a long time. Yeah. And it's funny because I work with people, and every once in a while they're like, well, let's go. Everybody always assumes when they work from home, they kind of almost assume that they're in the same city as you, and for me, in some cases, province. And I was out of province for over a year, and I don't think anybody actually, I mean, granted this was over 2020, but I don't think actually anybody actually kind of, for the most part, knew that when I was working. People at the office even probably didn't even know that because I'd worked from home for so long. They didn't. I don't think they just knew even where I was located. And you get people now going like, oh, we should go for lunch or something like that. I'll take you out for lunch. It's like, not going to happen. I live like 4 hours away. Not going to work. So yeah, it is that. It's just the way it works on that. It's I like it. I like working from home. Leave it at that. I'm going to see if the poll, let me just pull this up, because I can see the poll. If you haven't answered the poll as you jump in, we can let it go for a bit longer, obviously, till the end of the stream. But the question obviously is, did you buy today? And 75%, nothing. So the only purchase I did today was reinvesting the dividend of VDY, and that's the only plan. A lot of stuff happening, like in the. I'll have to look what my the Bitcoin not doing good today, with all that's going on with the exchanges and FTX exchange. But we'll see how that pans out, because I do have that BTC.Y in my portfolio, which will definitely probably today not be doing very good. And I have the BTC.Y. Yeah, it's down today. With everything going on, I find that one always a bit laggy in terms of price wise, because if you look now, Bitcoin price is down quite a bit, down 16% US today, and I think BTC.Y, the price will kind of lag that. So I think in a little bit we'll see it dropping, but it's almost kind of like these ones. That BTC.Y dividend is so good. I think I'll look at hopefully maybe seeing where things settle down and possibly purchase that a bit more, but we'll see. Definitely a volatile space. I know a lot of people that are on the channel don't have any investments in digital currency, but I know the BTC.Y is a bit popular on the account and or on on the channel for people. And I know there's some other people that have other cryptocurrencies that they hold wherever, and it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. It doesn't. It's not necessarily to stress about, but I mean, it's stressful, yeah, sure, if you have a lot invested in it, but if it's just a small portion, I'm not going to panic. Here we go. I love these big comments. I have to lift my head up though, so I can see them all, and I don't block behind them. So there's a strong opinion recession where we balance the employer-employee dynamic. Yeah, I think the hybrid model, and we're starting to see that a little bit, right? I think it will. I think, if I was working at a company that, I mean, I guess I don't know if you're always concerned about, losing your job. I don't know. It always comes as a surprise, right? Usually, but I think depending on what the type of industry you're in, you can definitely, if you know kind of things, you almost kind of want to be in the office, because if you're around and you can show your value, obviously if you have a value in the company, you're not necessarily going to be cut as easily. So it's kind of like, if I was working somewhere, you'd kind of, and they had a, you used to work in, head office or something like that. It's kind of like, you kind of want to be there, just to be in the sphere. I think that would be my preference personally. That being said, I mean, I've worked remotely for so long, so I'm onto that kind of like office dynamic loop. But definitely, I think you'd want to be, there. And I think there's probably more. I think there's probably more advancement internally for people that work in location, in office. I would assume. I could be completely wrong with that. Whereas I could maybe see more people working remotely receiving promotions, like not necessarily promotion, but finding other opportunities remotely, because they're maybe not finding them internally, just because they're, if you're lost in the shuffle at home. I don't know. It's interesting. And I think the thing with the whole thing with the employers, if they have, like, if you think about it, I mean, if you work at, let's see, we talked about banks earlier. Perfect example. They have the big towers in downtown. Let's say downtown Toronto, for example. And if everybody all of a sudden is working from home, they're still have the cost of this real estate tower, and if no one's taking advantage of that space, it's like, you of course want people back in there, right? Is it better for productivity? Is it better for morale? A whole number of things. Is it better for cost? So it's interesting that way. And also too, like, if you have a remote, comes into the whole, with economics, right? Like, if you have a remote worker that's, their job normally would be in downtown Toronto, and they're getting a certain wage, all of a sudden they've moved to another province on the East Coast where the cost of living is far less, and they were working remotely. Why are they paying them what they would normally pay someone that would have to live and work in downtown Toronto? There's that whole, so many questions on, well, how this works. Yeah. Supply and demand, right? Yeah. There is still, yeah, like, there is still lots of apparently lots of jobs out there for people. Just in, I guess, obviously in certain industries are going to be hit, and how much will continue. Yeah, with any kind of recession, I mean, is tech is maybe leading it a little bit. I don't know. Lots of stuff to ponder, for sure. I just hope nobody you never want anybody to get laid off. That's the main thing. You never want someone to lose, to lose their job, you know, no matter what it is or whatever reason, it's never good, even if it, yeah, you just don't want that stress, especially now, right? I mean, that's the hard part, because everything is like, obviously, everything's more so expensive and everything else. Like if you lose your job, I mean, you might have a bit of severance or whatever, right? But you never want to have to go through that, unfortunately. But we'll see how things pan out. I think, I like to remain optimistic in terms of, kind of, it's always like, we can talk. I mean, we talk with the market. It's always like, it's a silly saying, but it's like, it's always darkest. It's always darkest before the dawn. So I mean, we will get through everything that's happening. This has all happened before. The world keeps turning, so things will always come out on the other side, and they always do. It's just getting through that, which is the hard part. And it's, we look at our portfolios and we go, oh, but I think this is the time to, I mean, for me, it's the time just to kind of stick to the plan and execute it and carry it forward. That's just me. Here we go. Let's check up one last time on the poll before we, still nobody grabbing anything today. So that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to take a pause. And that's, like I was saying, it'd be interesting. So far it's hit tech for the most part, but it hasn't sit anywhere else. If you go a lot of other places, like a lot of the service industries and stuff like that, like there's still a ton of jobs. They're looking for people like crazy. But will it trickle? It'll trickle, and everything will sort itself. It ultimately sorts itself out, right? For better or worse. That's the thing. So we'll have to see with that. We'll be able to look back and go, okay, yeah, this is, it's always looking back. It's always the hard part is predictions. What really is going to happen. That's the really hard part with anything. So it's better not to necessarily predict and just plan. There we go. Well, we're coming up to close to the hour here. These I always say, like, these streams go like crazy fast. So we typically come on and we talk for a good almost hour here already. So it's been awesome. Thanks everybody. I do really appreciate it. Might as well, if there's any like last minute comments, questions, totally fire them up. We'll try and grab them before we go. But as everybody knows, my day starts at 9 a.m. here on the West Coast. But I do appreciate everybody taking the time to jump in for sure. It's in terms of channel update, what's happening. I shared a video yesterday on the Wealthsimple venture fund, which I'm still invested in. That one's actually been doing okay considering the US dollar right now. I don't know what's going to happen long term with what we'll have to see. It's definitely a very speculative investment to see going interested in. So we'll see how that pans out. And I will keep sharing as I can with the channel on that one. There seems to be a bit of interest. I know there's a few people that do follow the channel that are invested in it in their investment portfolio. And then I think I've had a comment. Someone actually had to take the money out of theirs, which, emergencies come up, right? So better to do it. I guess the one thing now is it closes if you are invested in it, just you'll be notified with emails and all the app and stuff, but it closes on the November 25th. So once it's locked in for probably 10 years. So be prepared. So if you do need that money, probably take it out. I'm going to assume probably they're getting a bit of that, but they're also, I think, doing a push for more deposits. It seems like, so maybe some people will still start to put more in there. I've been happy so far, just sitting in the US cash fund, which has been paying decent dividends. So we'll see what happens in the future. It's kind of interesting to see how that does pan out. I will have a update on the portfolio towards the end of the week. It'll be interesting today, tomorrow, Thursday is the US inflation report. So we'll see what that brings for the market. probably I think we're in for more volatility. And yeah, as MC said, CPI tomorrow. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, who knows what direction it's going to go in? It's almost like you just have to take the lumps right now and just try and get. I think we all just try and get through this time. Hopefully, I always keep saying, but hopefully this is the worst of it. We're going to start to see see an increase. We get things over, and we'll get hopefully the CPI comes in lower than expected for the States, and Canada as well would be nice. Once they get the stuff sorted out in the States with the elections, they have the midterm elections that are still kind of in flux, right, with results. That will give a bit more clarity, I think, for the market. So we're in this it's like a choppy water right now, which we'll get through. So I guess we'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't hit that like button, hit the like button. It's always appreciated in the channel. And if you know anybody that might find the channel useful to join on, whether they're able to join live or check out some of the past channel videos, it'd be great. Pass it on, send a link to family, friends, and it would be great to have the more the merrier on the chat. Is always fun. And also, if they're interested in the channel, checking out some videos, that would be awesome as well. It's always appreciated to share the channel, and then the goal, obviously, eventually make a little bit of extra money to be able to invest into the portfolio as well once that happens. But that'll happen when it happens, much like everything else. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest of the day. Hopefully, don't work too hard. Hopefully, maybe we'll see in the afternoon. Maybe the market will. Maybe it will be nice to us and turn around a little bit before the end of the day. But let's not hold our breath in the meantime. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you all tomorrow.